Good Lord, was I awful last week on my picks and bets. Just like last year, I started 0-5. Yes, 0-5 on my picks and bets last week. And that was just awful. This week, I'm going more all in. It's going to be hot or cold, and here's how we're going to play hot or cold. Let me give you the rules of my picks and bets for the year. Last year, I just did best bets because each week I will pick the over-under and the spread for every single game involving an SEC team and every single game involving two top 25 teams. Then I will pick my over, my under, my money line, my cover, and my fail to cover. My best bet for all 5 of those for each week too. I will track my score on all of these as time goes on each week. So we got a lot going on. I'm 0-5. I'm ready to make a comeback now. Let's get rolling. It's time for best bets. It's time for bets of the week. I will play hot or cold on this. I'm going to do every single game. The way I'm going to play hot or cold is I'm going to, and it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. I'm going to go through every game involving an SEC team, and I'm going to say if I'm hot or cold on that SEC team covering that week. And once I do that, I will also give my prediction on exactly what the over-under of the game will be. So let's get rolling. This is Hot or Cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow more on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia daily updates. Facebook.com/sports treasures TN. Let's play some Hot or Cold, and we roll first tonight. Missouri is a 40.5 favorite against Central Arkansas. I'm sorry, a 39.5 favorite. Missouri is a 39.5 favorite against Central Arkansas. I'm cold on Missouri covering that. I don't think they're going to cover 39.5 against Missouri. And I mean, against Central Arkansas, Eli Drinkwitz is bringing in a new quarterback, and he usually doesn't win games in blowouts like that. So I'm extremely, extremely, extremely cold on Missouri being able to beat Central Arkansas by 39.5 points. Central Arkansas is going to cover that spread. Now, as far as the over-unders go, excuse me. I'm having trouble talking right now, guys. I apologize. As far as the over-under goes, that one is set at, if I believe, 52.5. I'm taking the under. I think Missouri is going to be a little sloppy. And with that in mind, I am taking the under in that one. All right. Also tonight, Auburn and Baylor. I'm hot on Auburn covering the 2-point spread. I think they'll be better with Jackson Arnold. I'm not extremely high on them, but I am hot on them covering the 2-point spread. I think Auburn covers a 2-point spread. I think they show a new offense tonight. And so with that in mind, I think that allows them to cover. And I think that allows them to hit the over, by the way. So yes, I'm actually pretty hot on them covering the 2-point spread. Mississippi State and Southern Miss. I'm hot on Mississippi State covering the 12.5 point spread. Excuse me. I'm hot. That spread is now at 13.5. Mississippi State is favored to cover. Mississippi State is favored by 13.5. I'm extremely hot on them covering the 13.5 point spread. I think they will cover it pretty easily. I think their offense will take off too. And so with that, I'm also taking the over. The over that is set at 61.5, and I think they will cover that. Honestly, relatively easily. So we'll see how that goes. Tennessee, Syracuse, the big one we've all been talking about. I'm hot on Tennessee covering. I think Tennessee covers the 13.5 point spread. I do. I think Tennessee covers a 13.5-point spread, and I think the game hits the over. I think Tennessee reveals a new offense, and I think while there's a lot of new talent on offense on both sides, I think it's enough for them to go over 50.5. This is Josh Heupel's offense we're talking about here. I refuse to believe that it can't go over 50.5. All right, Texas and Ohio State. This is a brutal one. Arch Manning's debut. Ohio State is favored by 1.5. Playing at Ohio State and me not believing in Steve Sarkisian, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm hot. I'm cold on Texas. I think Ohio State covers the spread at 1.5. I think the game does hit the under. It's going to hit the under 51.5. Both sides breaking in new talent on offense. I do believe in Arch Manning long term, but I think this game specifically is just going to be too brutal of an opener for him. So I think Ohio State covers. I think they win this game like 17-10, quite honestly. And then everybody freaks out about Arch Manning unfairly. This is a brutal start for him. Toledo and Kentucky. Kentucky favored by 11.5. While I have questions about Kentucky long term, I think they'll cover this one too. In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm very high on covers. I think Kentucky will cover the spread against Toledo. The over-under at 48.5, though, I'm going with I'm sorry, the spread's on 9.5. But yeah, I think Kentucky covers the 9.5-point spread. I'm going to go with the over 47, believe it or not. I think there's going to be just enough scoring, even with Kentucky's horrid offense, for this game to hit the over. I see something like 31-17, something like that. So I got Kentucky covering, believe it or not, on that one. All right, keeping it moving. Marshall and Georgia. Well, Marshall's talking a lot this week, and that's playing a mistake. So even with Gunnar Stockton there, I don't think Marshall needs to be talking the way they've been talking. So I think Georgia blows them out. They're favored by 38.5. I think Georgia covers that. I think they cover that maybe in the first half, funny enough. And I'm going to go with the under 54.5 because I don't think Georgia's defense is going to let Marshall score. So I'm actually going with the under 54.5, even though I do think Georgia covers. Alabama, Florida State. Okay, guys. Alabama covers the 13.5-point spread. Alabama is favored by 13.5 at Florida State. I think they cover, and I think they cover easily. I'm hot on them, and the reason I think they cover is because I think Ty Simpson proves just how elite he finally is in Kalen DeBoer's offense, and with that eliteness, this game is going to hit the over. You can book it. Arkansas, Alabama, A&M. Arkansas is favored by 42 points. I'm cold. Alabama A&M is going to cover that. Arkansas is not going to win by 42. Sorry. I just don't believe enough in Sam Pittman yet. So I think Alabama A&M covers the 42-point spread against Arkansas. The over-under is set at 60. I'm probably going to go over with that because I think Alabama A&M will no, actually, yeah, I'm going to go under. I'd stay away from that one. I'm going to go under 60. I think Arkansas won't score enough. That's why they won't cover. So I'm going with the under in that one. Keeping it going. Illinois State and Oklahoma. God, I hate these FCS, FBS games, but I know they're necessary. Oklahoma is favored by 35.5. I think Oklahoma is massively overrated, even with this new offense that they have. I just can't believe in Brent Venables. And with that, I think Illinois State's going to cover. And the offensive woes continue. So I also think this game is going to hit the under. Yeah, that's right. I think Illinois State's going to cover the 35.5-point spread. And I think this game is going to hit the under, and it's an under 59.5. People are going to have red flags on Brent Venables as time goes on. Long Island University at Florida. Florida favored by 44.5. DJ Lagway, I think, is overrated. We don't know how healthy he is. With those two things in mind, I think Florida fails to cover that, and I think the offense sputters. And so with that, I think these FCS schools are all going to cover, it looks like, against the SEC schools. I think Long Island University covers the 44.5-point spread, and I think the game is going to hit the under 54.5. That's my take. Under 54.5, Long Island University, the 44.5-point spread. Okay, still going because a lot of games this week. Woo! Charleston, Southern at Vanderbilt. Oh my gosh, this is the game of the week, guys. No, I'm kidding. Vanderbilt's favored by 35.5. I think Vanderbilt's going to cover that. I do. I think Diego Pavia wants to make a statement with his moxie, and so they're going to purposely run up the score. And because of that, I think Vanderbilt's going to cover, and I think the game's going to hit the over 46.5. So I like that line. I'm high on both. All right. Still going because we got so many games to cover this week. Texas San Antonio at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is favored by 23.5, and I think they cover. I think this offense hits a new era, and I think they cover and absolutely dominate with this offense in Mike Elko. And I think the game is going to hit the under, though, because I don't think Texas San Antonio is going to score, believe it or not. So I'm hot on Texas A&M covering. All right, moving on. Finally, one more bad game. Oh, you guys are going to hate me. I have to do it, though. Georgia State and Ole Miss. Oh, just want to vomit talking about that. We know what Georgia State has done to Tennessee. They can be dangerous in openers. I'm taking Georgia State plus 34.5. I am cold on Ole Miss covering because I think they have new talent and they're going to be working some things in. They're going to struggle a little bit, and the sloppiness will result in Georgia State covering, but it'll be because both teams score a lot. So I'm actually on the over 59.5 in that game. LSU and Clemson. Clemson is favored by 4.5. Over under set at 57.5. I think LSU covers. Yes, I think LSU covers that. That might be my money line, guys. I think LSU might win that game. I'm hot on them doing it. I think the over-under is 57.5. I think they cover because I think Cade Klubnik was very overrated with how he finished last season. I'm still high on that. And I think LSU finally gets a big win under Brian Kelly. They're due for one. They get it with their defense because Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik is exposed as overrated because I thought he has been the whole time. And finally, South Carolina and Virginia Tech. I'm going South Carolina covering the 7.5 point spread. I think they're a fair. I think Virginia Tech takes a leap forward. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just very high on Lenore Sellers. But with both of them taking a leap forward, specifically offensively, the over under at 51.5. I think the game goes over 51.5. So South Carolina, Virginia Tech. I'm very, very high on that game going over 51.5. Now, there's obviously one more big, notable top 25 matchup we've got to talk about, and that is Miami Notre Dame. This is real tough for me because I don't know where to go with this, but I think I'm going to lean. I think I'm going to lean Notre Dame. I think I'm going to lean Notre Dame covering the 2.5 point spread, even at Miami. I don't think Carson Beck is a fit for Mario Cristobal's offense. Notre Dame is a very, very good football program. So I've got Notre Dame covering the 2.5 point spread. And I have the under because this is a defensive team on both sides. Notre Dame's a defensive team, and Mario Cristobal's offense won't be run well by Carson Beck. So I've got the under. Hot or cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow me on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates. Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN. Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
All right, my best bets of the week. One is tonight, by the way, and it is the underdog bet. I think South Florida covers the South Florida is hosting Boise State with Alex Golish. Boise State favored by 5.5. I don't think South Florida wins, but I think they actually do cover, believe it or not. I think South Florida covers that 5.5 point spread, which is shocking, I think, to a lot of people. My cover for the favorite of the week, I'm going all in. And this may shock some people, but I think it's Tennessee. I think Tennessee is the likeliest team to cover this week at the 13.5. I think Tennessee will actually end up blowing out Syracuse. I think there's a lot of new wrinkles and things they can show, and those will reveal themselves when they play this week. So I'm actually going to say I'm high on Tennessee covering. Yeah, that's right. I think Tennessee covers. The over-under of the week, the over of the week. What is my over of the week? It's Alabama, Florida State. Alabama, Florida State is the best over of the week at 50.5. Mike Norvell's offense, I think, will have a bit of a renaissance, and Alabama, being in Kalen DeBoer's identity, will go off with Ty Simpson. So I'm pretty high on that being my over of the week. I'm actually very, very big on that being my over of the week. My under of the week. For those who aren't ready, my biggest under of the week, I'm probably going to land. This is a tough one. I'm not exactly sure where to go for my under of the week, but I think my under of the week, I'm going to land on. Yeah, man, this is actually a really tough one. I'm doing this in real time with you guys, by the way, as I set this up. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm actually doing this in real time, setting up what I think will be the biggest over under of the week and the biggest all of those things. But I think my obvious under of the week, believe it or not, I think my biggest under of the week is going to be LSU and Clemson. LSU and Clemson, I think Kate Klubnik is massively overrated. And I've thought that for a while, and we know some of LSU's issues. I think under 57.5. I think LSU and Clemson with an under 57.5 is a real. I actually think it's an easy one, honestly. I think LSU and Clemson is probably one of the easiest ones. So yeah, no, LSU and Clemson is my under 57.5. That's my under of the week. I think that there's a I don't really see how LSU and Clemson, I don't really see how that game gets over. So what's my money line of the week? Money line of the week is very different. And, with this type of stuff, it's always brutal at the start of the year because there's just so many games and you don't know where to go. But my money line of the week is going to be, I think it's going to be LSU. I'm sticking with LSU as my money line of the week to pull off an upset. LSU, I think, actually beats Clemson. So I got LSU as my money line and my over of the week. I think LSU is going to upset Clemson. That is my biggest take.